So many aspiring authors and sometimes even second or third book authors pour their heart into a book, only to wonder, why is this not growing my business? Why is it not doing what I wanted it to do? And something I've learned over time, because I've written a few books, is that if your book is not designed to reach the right reader and to pull them into your business, then it's not gonna work. It might as well just be a journal with blank pages. And the concepts I'm gonna be talking about today, which are why you need more than just passion to make a book work no matter what book you're talking about. I had a guest on my Author Switch podcast a couple years ago who talked about the deep strategy he did to write his fiction. A book, any book, without a strategy behind it and through it and in it doesn't have as good a chance of reaching the goal the author intends as a book that does. Now, if you write your passion project book, it may do well. It may. I've done that. That's happened. But it's more likely to do well if you bake the strategy in before day one. So, what I'm going to be covering today are 5 reasons that strategy is important. Hi, my name is Carma Spence, and I work with big thinkers, visionary leaders, and seasoned experts. And I help them write, publish, and market a client and business growing book so that they can do what they were meant to do and they can make an impact in this world. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so that this video and others like it can get out into the world and into the eyeballs of people who want to grow their business using the leveraging power of books. So now let's get to the first tip. Start with the end goal in mind. I know I've said this once. I've probably said it 1,000 times. It is that important. It is that important. Regardless of what kind of book you're writing, start with the end goal in mind. What do you want this book to do for you? What do you want it to do for the reader? And what do you want it to do for your business? Those are the 3 goals you need to have in mind. And they may overlap. They may overlap. Or they may be 3 different things. Or they may be 2 different things. It doesn't matter. But you need to start with, where do you want this book to take you? Then you're more likely to choose the right book to help you reach that goal. Number 2, know who you are talking to before you even write chapter 1. You need to know who your audience is. So, for example, that author I talked about in the intro, he had like 3 different fiction areas that he enjoyed writing in. But first, he did the research. Who would be reading these and what is my competition for those readers? And he decided that the 2 of those topics, he didn't have a chance of really getting any traction in, so he chose the 3rd one. He chose that type of book because he knew that that would get him the readership. He knew that reader, and there was low competition in that niche. Now that's fiction. That's not always how you think about with a nonfiction book. So, for example, maybe your goal is to reach people at the beginning of your customer transformation journey. You're going to write a completely different book than if your goal is to reach people who are at the mid or the high level. So, for example, if I'm writing a book that is for all my potential clients, that's how the Author's Journey series really started. I wanted to reach the people who are at the beginning of their journey, who maybe didn't have a lot of funds to pay for high touch services. Now, if I was writing for my champagne clients, the ones who are going to pay me 10, 15, 20K, I would probably write a different book because the audience is different. I may cover the same information, but how I frame it, how I talk about it would be completely different. And the same goes with your business. So you get your goal, you've got your who. What's next? Stories inspire, strategy converts. Great storytelling is a must. Absolutely. And a lot of authors, they've got that down. But only strategy can turn those stories into clients. So your narrative should build both emotional resonance and professional credibility. So as you're telling your stories, it can be about yourself, it can be about other people, it can be about your clients. But those stories are also seeding the idea that you're the person the reader should work with. So choose your stories strategically. Tell them strategically. It doesn't mean you're lying. It just means you're framing how the story's told so that it leads people to a specific conclusion. Yes, that's persuasion. Some people might call it manipulation. But if you're doing it with the best intentions in mind, with the good of both you and your readers in mind, it's okay. If you're enjoying these tips so far, you might want to grab a copy of the Right Book Roadmap. There's a link to it below. It's carmaspence.com/Right Book Roadmap. This roadmap takes you from point A to point Z or Z, depending on where you are, and helps you know exactly what steps you need to take as you move through your author's journey. And it's free. Just go to carmaspence.com/Right Book Roadmap. Now on to tip number 4. Your book should lead readers somewhere, ideally to you and your business. So a book, if it's going to grow your business, it shouldn't be just a mic drop. I said this wonderful thing. Boom. Oh, no. It should be something that's not only a mic drop, but also tells you once you've experienced the mic drop, you know to work with the author. Your book should be filled with breadcrumbs that trail your offers, your programs, your expertise, your deeper transformational work. Do you know where your book leads? That's something you need to think of. That's part of the strategy before you write the book. Where is that book leading? And I have to admit, that is something I've learned the hard way because I've often jumped. I'm like, I know I need to write this book. I know it connects my, and then I forget, oh yeah, it needs to lead somewhere. And so like I'm scrambling after the book's written to like come up with some lead thing and it doesn't work very well. It can work. I have gotten people on my list that way. It just isn't as effective as it could be. So things you need to think of before you write word 1. What is the goal for you, your business, and your reader? Who is your reader? What are they looking for? And I've got entire episodes that go deep into that. What stories are you going to tell that serve these goals and these readers? Where is your book leading so that you can seed the right programs, the right lead magnets, all that into the book? And finally, number 5, a book without a strategy is just a journal, not an asset. If you want your book to grow your business, it needs to be an asset in your business. It needs to be a marketing asset in your business. If your book isn't aligned with your business goals, it may be cathartic. And believe me, I've written those too. There's nothing wrong with those. They just don't achieve this particular goal. But it won't convert. It'll be cathartic, but it won't convert. Strategic book writing begins with intention, not inspiration. The inspiration may lead to the intention, yes. And the intention may lead to the inspiration, yes. But the intention, if you want your book to grow your business, is the important thing. Well, I hope you enjoyed these tips. On Wednesday, I will be back with 5 smart ways to use your paperback book for business growth because this week, I believe it's Friday. It could be Wednesday. I forget which day of the week it is paperback book day. So That's why I am doing that episode, and I will see you on Wednesday. This is Carma Spence saying ciao for now.